This is Word on the Street with Joey Hudson, powered by Ingles Markets. Low prices, love the savings on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Hi, Joey Hudson here. You know, this spring there's a renewed energy and focus on efficiencies, and shaking up unhealthy habits don't serve us well. There's so much chatter about making America great again, but it starts in your home with you being the best, healthiest version of yourself. And PhD Weight Loss is doing their part because for the first time ever, the first 11 callers get 2 free weeks added to your weight loss program. That is huge. PhD's out to prove that you don't need Big Pharma to reach your goals. It just creates dependency, not long-term change. Dr. Ashley Lucas researched weight loss trends for years and discovered a scientifically proven way to retrain your body to burn fat efficiently without hunger, extreme exercise, or dangerous medications. PhD clients watch their belly fat disappear, their energy skyrocket, cholesterol and blood pressure normalize without starving themselves. I lost over 30 pounds and I've never felt better. So call now and mention promo code Joey for my 2 weeks for free with my program. Call 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900 or go to myphdweightloss.com. Continuing our series of interviews with mayors of the upstate, we move over to the northern part of Greenville County to a place that has played a pretty special place in my life, and that's the city of Travelers Rest. Joining us today, Mayor Brandy Amidon, the youngest person ever elected and the first female to serve as mayor. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having this series. I love that some local mayors get the spotlight and we get to brag about our cities.
Well, it's been a lot of fun being able to meet a lot of the mayors in the upstate of South Carolina and just learning the stories. I love history anyway. So let's start with that. I always ask the mayors to give me their elevator speech about their city. So what's your elevator speech for Travelers Rest?
So first of all, I have to just say I grew up here, so I have this very unique perspective, and Joey, you too, about what TR used to be. But my elevator pitch for us, we have always been community. So a place where you feel special, you walk into your coffee shop, they know your name, that very much small town. We get compared to Mayberry and the Hallmark movies, and all of that is very much TR. Now, we have a lot of amenities that people love, like the Swamp Rabbit Trail and restaurants, but it really is about community. So this is a really great small town to be a part of.
Yeah. Funny that you mentioned that because I want to tell you 37 years ago, I guess it was, when I was looking to start a nationwide insurance agency, which I ended up in Travelers Rest, but I wasn't sure. I grew up in Greer. I wasn't sure where I was going to open this, and I had the flexibility of going anywhere within Greenville County. So I visited, actually, maybe I shouldn't tell you the other cities I visited, but I visited some other cities, and my process was this. I would go have breakfast or lunch, and I just kind of walk around, and I would talk with people to see how, open the city was. And Travelers Rest by far was the most welcoming city. In fact, they were a little too nosy at times, wanting to know what I was doing around, what I was hanging around the restaurant for or whatever. But, and an example of that was when I did decide it was Travelers Rest, and I put up a temporary sign. Eddie Fuel, who had just started at the Bank of Travelers Rest, stopped in to say hello and to offer me their banking services. I opened an account with the Bank of Travelers Rest, and I've been there ever since.
See, that's very TR. That's a great story. I actually have one to go along with it. So Martha Cox just passed away, and she was of Martha's Hardware in Travelers Rest, and so a Main Street staple for a number of years. And I remember running for office and going in there and meeting Martha. I bought a paintbrush and kind of talking to her about what I was thinking for city council. And she promoted me so hard that people thought she was my grandmother for the longest time. But that's community. They take you in, they love on you. That's very much here. That's why people are wanting to move here. Yeah. They want that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, we're starting to lose some of those people like Martha. We just said goodbye to Murray Garrett, who was mayor for a long time. So let's talk about, when did you decide that you wanted to be mayor of Travelers Rest, and why?
Yeah, so I was a 26, 27-year-old having breakfast with my husband and read about a guy who came into city council in a special election and nobody ran against him. And I just remembered student council middle school campaigning with buttons and signs. And I was like, this guy didn't have to run. He just signed a paper. Nobody was running against him. And my husband's like, why are you so upset about this? Why don't you run? And I realized I didn't know who the mayor was. I did not know what they did on city council. And so I just started going to the meetings. I try to tell young people, just show up. You learn so much. And I started going to the meetings, and they talk about money all the time. I'm a CPA, so accountant is my day job. And I was like, wait a minute, I know about money, and just really fell into it from there. And I love being a part of the change that happens to my hometown, seeing good things kind of pop up. So it's really, we're nonpartisan here, so there's never any of that Republican, Democrat. It is just about the people, and that's the good stuff of life. I really, really enjoy my job.
Yeah, and boy, has the city changed quite drastically over the years. And I got to tell you my Swamp Rabbit Trail story, too. So Murray, that the rail was on again, off again. In fact, I almost purchased a lot. It's still vacant. It's the lot across the street from the post office there. But I almost purchased that from the Rowe family years ago when I was looking to build another office. But the railroad track came through it, and you never knew if it was going to be used or not. I mean, Ken Sprouse was my longtime CPA, and now the Highsmiths are. But, the rail ran through their parking lot. And so there were times
you had to move your cars.
Yeah. I mean, I would be in Ken's office and, doing my taxes, and we'd hear the horn blowing, and I have to go move my car. So I just wasn't quite sure. Hindsight, I wish I'd have bought that lot now. But so Murray Garrett called a group of us in to City Hall, said, we got some things we want to talk about. And it hadn't been that long prior to this that a group of us had actually gone downtown Greenville, rode the train back up to Travelers Rest when one of the manufacturers up there had started using the rail again. In fact, I still have the gold spike that I was given that day.
Yeah, I rode the train recently, the last one.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so Murray calls us to this meeting, and, we're thinking about, the county's thinking about maybe giving up the track, and, here's some ideas and all. And this was in the very early stages. Mayor, I don't know that there was a single person in that room who thought that was a good idea. I don't know that any of us thought anyone would get on their bicycle and ride from Greenville to Travelers Rest.
It's very interesting to have that perspective when now we literally have other municipalities coming to tour TR and saying, how can we get what you have? And I think that's part of the job of being a mayor. Sometimes you take some hard hits for things that you really think are going to be good for your community, but you're also changing things. And Joey, that makes people nervous. We do not like change, and we just kind of want to fight it every step of the way. But that is your job as mayor. Like, how are you being a visionary for your community? And those guys stepped up. That was a hard decision to make, and they could have said no, but really the Swamp Rabbit has been the catalyst for all the things that you see in TR. So knowing what if they would have said no to that? Would we have then been in hindsight saying, oh man, I wish we would have said yes to that. Look what we missed out on.
Yep. With me today, Mayor of Travelers Rest, Brandy Amidon. I've talked with a number of mayors throughout the upstate. I've talked with the mayor of Landrum, Inman, Campobello. Mayor Briggs over in Landrum is hoping that the Saluda Grade Trail, a project that they're in the middle of now, will do the same thing for Landrum that it's done for Travelers Rest.
Yeah. I remember part of that conversation, too, because I had come on city council kind of at the very start of the trail and the Main Street renovations, and I was sitting in a meeting, and I remember somebody said, those bikers are not going to spend money when they come into town. And so there was a perception it was just cyclists that were coming. But you go out and walk around Travelers Rest, we're all walking, it's grandparents, it's, moms with strollers. It is a linear park that goes straight through Main Street. And so there's some of that of these other cities, please, I would love to have that in my town. And they're really begging for it. They also see the economic development. Look at our Main Street. I've got one building and a half that is empty, and it's just filled up, and it's bikeable and walkable. And so, we've been a nice beta tester, really thanks to some of those early decision makers and leaders that roughed it out and probably got a lot of pushback from constituents, but they felt that was the best vision for the city. They did a good job.
And speaking of change, the city, of course, has been in the spotlight recently with the proposal by the Divine Group of the Inn at Altamont. Now, I know there's probably things you can't talk about, specifics and all, but is there anything that you can tell us about the project?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting where a lot of cities are different in how they annex. And I think that's really the conversation of how are you growing your city and what that looks like. And, some cities like Greer and Greenville are big annexers. They have utilities that fund revenue. Here in the city, we really don't have any of those needs. It's just about community and how we're doing infill. And so for us, when an annexation conversation comes up, it has to be about what's good for the whole. And this one is very controversial because it's talking about something that's very sacred to all of us that live here, Paris Mountain. And so that has been a big deal. They haven't officially applied with the city yet. Part of our uniqueness in our zoning and annexation requests is that we require a community meeting, and that's supposed to be the developer's job to go and tell the community what's coming or what they'd like to see, take feedback, and then file with the city. So we're still waiting on kind of that second step, and then we'll be able to kind of jump in and, see and start to have those debates and conversations about what's good for the city. But that is really part of this. How do you grow these municipalities in a good, healthy way? And Joey, too, as a local, there's some of that tension and territorialness, if that's a word, where it's like, don't take away something that I have or something that we have that's really good. And so that's really our job as elected officials to make sure we make good decisions that don't take us backwards. It's how we're taking us forward.
Yeah, and that's a tough part because people love to, well, that's not how we've done it around here, or, it's always been like this. And particularly in a smaller town like Travelers Rest. So other than the possibility of maybe a hotel, talk with us about the future growth of Travelers Rest. Do you feel like it's been managed well?
I think we've done a great job. I give this example. We had a planning director before we had a public works department of two. So we have seen, as a city, the importance of planning. 20 years ago, for example, we knew that growth was coming. Now, did we know it was going to be this low? Did I know that every other state in the United States wanted to move to Travelers Rest? No, I did not particularly know that. But we were very intentional, like, if we're going to grow, what does this look like and how can we do it well? And so our kind of values are also protection of this small town character that we worked really hard, knowing that we're going to grow, but kind of focus on infill, which is where we already are. So that is some of that. If we're going to grow and annex a housing development or a hotel or any type of business, how is it kind of contributing to the whole of Travelers Rest? But yeah, it's been really interesting to think of what will TR look like 10 years from now. And I think some of our learnings is just to keep doing the things that we do really well. Outdoor spaces, we're becoming this kind of hub for hanging out at the trail and exercising and, outdoor things. And so we actually just took on 3 county parks that are now a part of the city of Travelers Rest: Gateway, the rest of Trailblazer, and Poinsett. And so that's really part of our growth program. And maintenance is like, how can we have more outdoor space, preservation of green space, make it public, get people out there moving. I had a really great conversation with some middle schoolers last year, and they really I think they're seeing them kind of shift from this technological world to, like, they want to be outside. Yeah. They want to fish. They want to walk, and they want to be in the sun, and they want to fly kites and do Frisbee golf. And so that's really what we're going to push from a growth standpoint. And then also small businesses. We're doing this project on Poinsett over where Leopard Forest and Chicora Alley, that kind of end of town, extending Main Street. And so, again, something we know works. You want a small business that you love and the owners, and, how can we kind of contribute to that same growth that we've had? We're not trying to, bring in a Six Flags or anything crazy that goes against the TR. It's small character, but also small business and just keeping people connected.
Yeah. Mayor Brandy Amidon is with me from Travelers Rest today. If a business reaches out to you and is talking about maybe relocating to Travelers Rest, what do you tell them about the city?
Yeah, I love when business owners are considering us, kind of like you were making your decision about where to start your business or open up your office. They really are curious about just what you did, which is, how are people really how do they feel? How do they support you? We really have this great group of humans that live here that are like, hey, True Broth, we're going to go support them. We're going to make sure we brag about the Vietnamese coffee that everyone loves. And so I think they're looking for a sense of community. Bridge City Coffee is a great example. They're on Wade Hampton, and they just have such a great mission. And they were looking at a second store, and we had conversations. I'm like, come to TR, see what we've got. And they came here for community, and they're doing such a great job. I've been joking. I'm like, I'm going to have to find a new coffee shop because every time I go in there, it's so busy. But they're really looking for that kind of connection to that small town. But they want to know that the city is going to support them in whatever their business is.
Yeah. Once you were elected mayor, was there just a big surprise, something with the job that you didn't expect?
a surprise. I was on council before, and so I thought I kind of knew things, Joey. It's like nobody prepares you you don't go to college to learn how to be a mayor or anything like that. There's not courses they teach at Greenville Tech. And so a friend of mine who's a mayor, he was like, Brandy, when you're in that middle seat, it's different. And I kind of thought, I'm like, whatever, but he was right. When you sit in that middle seat, you have a different responsibility, and I don't know, you just care in a whole different level. And so I think the weight of that sometimes gets me. I remember driving through Main Street one morning after I dropped off my daughter, and I had this like almost sick feeling. I'm responsible for this entire city. But then I kind of came back to him like, I am not. We have we have the best police chief, fire chief, our city administrator. We have this whole staff. We have the best council. You're never going to see our council, getting crazy and yelling at each other on TV or throwing things. Like, we just have really good people here. And so I think that was one of it, like this personal weight, but then like, no, this is a team and we're in this together. Yeah.
One of the things when I tell people about Travelers Rest, their first question is, well, Travelers Rest, how did it get its name? Did Travelers really rest there? You want to give us about a 1-minute history?
That's it. That sums it up. Travelers really came and rested here. We were kind of the spot before you would go up to the mountains or before you would go to Greenville. And so we started to become this hub where people needed to take a break. And so we talk a lot about drovers, where they had animals and they would come here and rest before they went to the city and, sold their animals. And so that really is part of our DNA, is just coming to rest. So we have swings at our city hall. We have swings on Main Street. And that is part of it. I want people to come here and feel connected and be like, okay, I can rest. All is going to be well. And so that is part of what we're trying to sell. But that comes from the very beginning. It was just a sweet spot where people could come, take a load off before they had to go back to work.
Yep. And those swings at City Hall are fabulous. Those are the most amazing.
Are they fun?
Yes, they are. They are for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mayor Brandy Amidon, thank you for your time today and for just a glimpse of Travelers Rest. And I appreciate your time and I love the city, of course, and look forward to seeing you around. Maybe when the Poinsett project there is finished, will there be like a ribbon cutting or anything for that?
Yeah, we'll have to go to lunch at Chicora. They've been such a great partner and so patient. We'll have to do that.
All right.
Thank you so much for highlighting our cities. I think that's really important. We care about our municipalities, and you're doing a great job at that. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Travelers Rest Mayor Brandy Amidon. For additional information, go to travelersrestsc.com. That's it for today. We're back again next weekend, and be sure and join me each weekday for Sunrise Carolina, where we have our first cup of coffee at 5 a.m.
This is Word on the Street with Joey Hudson on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.